I never expected betrayal to wear a familiar face. But the moment I walked into that pub and saw my wife with my cousin, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. Let me take you back to before everything blew up. My name's Jordan Rivers. I'm 34 years old and I live in Asheville, North Carolina. The kind of town where people know your name, your car, and unfortunately, your business. I've been married to my wife Lila for just over 9 years. We met during our junior year at the University of Georgia. She was this sharp, beautiful psychology major with a sarcastic smile and a laugh that could snap you out of any bad day. I was the kid working 3 jobs, buried in business textbooks. We were total opposites, but we fit. At least I thought we did. After college, we moved to Asheville, settled down, and built a life. I climbed the ladder at a logistics company and recently became director of strategy, a job that came with longer hours and bigger paychecks. We had a gorgeous home tucked into the trees, weekend brunch traditions, and a 5-year plan that included a golden retriever and 2 kids. People looked at us like we were the blueprint for a solid marriage. But do you know what unsafe is? Comfort. It makes you blind. It makes you believe you're safe when you're standing on a trapdoor. I was so busy chasing stability, I didn't notice the cracks forming behind me. Lila had always supported my work ethic. She said it inspired her. But a few months before everything happened, something in her shifted. She started sleeping early, canceling plans, taking long drives alone, and said she needed space to think. I chalked it up to stress. I thought maybe she was anxious about starting a family or just tired of my late nights. I had no idea I was being softened for the target. The crazy part? It wasn't just Lila who betrayed me. The other person was someone I grew up with, someone I used to share Nintendo games and bunk beds with at Grandma's house during summers, someone I once called brother, my cousin, Adrian. If you'd told me a year ago that Lila and Adrian would betray me in the same breath, I would have laughed in your face. But now, I'm telling you my story so no one else makes the mistake I did, trusting too much, looking away too long, and thinking family means loyalty. Because betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it wears your last name. Looking back now, the signs were there. They weren't big or loud. They were quiet, subtle, like water leaking under a door, barely noticeable. It started in early March. At first, it was little things. Lila stopped sending her usual good morning texts when I left for work. She didn't ask how my day was going anymore. No more sarcastic one-liners, no more lingering touches as I passed her on the way to grab coffee. She just faded. I figured she was going through a rough patch. Maybe she was anxious about turning 33. Maybe she felt stuck. She'd recently left her counseling job at a local therapy clinic and said she wanted time off to breathe. I supported her, paid the bills, gave her space, tried to check in, but every time I brought it up, she brushed it off. "I'm just tired, Jordan. Not everything's a crisis." She said it with a smile. But there was distance in her eyes. At night, she'd fall asleep early or pretend to. She stopped waiting up for me, stopped watching our favorite shows. And when she did talk, it felt like she was reading a script she wasn't invested in. And then came the phone thing. Lila had never been secretive with her phone. We both knew each other's passcodes. There was never a reason to snoop, but all of a sudden, her phone was always face down, notifications silenced. She started taking it into the bathroom, even just to brush her teeth. If it buzzed near me, she snatched it up like it was on fire. I joked about it once. "What, you running a spy ring now?" She laughed. But it was forced. "You're being paranoid." But that laugh, that wasn't the Lila I knew. That was the laugh of someone covering a crack in the wall. Still, I wanted to believe her, so I told myself I was overthinking. That work stress was messing with my head, that she just needed time. But the gut doesn't lie. And one night, that gut whisper turned into a scream. We were supposed to have dinner at our favorite Italian spot downtown. She canceled last minute, said she was exhausted and wanted to stay in. Fine. I stopped by the restaurant anyway to pick up takeout. As I was waiting for the order, I glanced out the window and saw a familiar car. Adrian's Range Rover. I froze. Because Adrian doesn't live downtown. He lives in the suburbs. And this wasn't near a listing or an open house. He was parked across the street, sitting in his car, alone, looking nervous. It felt random at the time, but now I know that it wasn't random. The next morning, I asked Lila if she'd heard from Adrian recently. She stiffened, said, "Not really. Why?" I shrugged, said I was just wondering, but now my mind was sprinting. And the more I paid attention, the more the tension spread. My text started going unanswered for hours. Calls got sent to voicemail. She started going out for drives to clear her head after dinner. Alone, always dressed a little too nice for a 9 p.m. drive. One night I stayed up pretending to be asleep. I heard her phone buzz around midnight and her whispering in the hallway. I got out of bed quietly, listened from the stairs. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught 3 words that haunted me for days. He can't know. That was the moment I stopped pretending things were okay. That was the moment I realized that I was being played. It was March 18th, a Saturday. My cousin Adrian had his birthday barbecue at his house in Hendersonville, just outside Asheville. He'd been texting all week, reminding me to bring drinks and show up early, like he always did. Things with Lila had been tense, and I didn't feel like playing happy husband around family, but she insisted, "You should go. Adrian's your family. He'll notice if you're not there." That should have been the first red flag, Lila encouraging me to go somewhere without her, when she usually hated these family events. I asked if she wanted to come. She said she had a migraine and needed to rest. I believed her. Or at least I wanted to believe her, so I went. Got there around 2 p.m. Warm day, grill going, football on the big screen. Adrian was doing his usual thing, loud, charismatic, making jokes, flipping steaks like a Food Network host. But something felt insincere. When I hugged him, he seemed tense. That smile he gave me, it didn't quite reach his eyes. We cracked open beers, played a round of cornhole, and made small talk, but I could tell his head was somewhere else. He kept checking his phone every 5 minutes, like he was waiting on someone or something. It didn't hit me until I noticed the wallpaper on his phone screen. It was blurred, but I could have sworn. It looked like a selfie. A woman, with dark brown hair and fair skin, and for a second, it looked like Lila. I blinked, looked again. He caught me staring and locked the phone. I laughed it off. He didn't. "New girl?" I asked casually. He smirked. "Something like that." "Something like that?" That phrase lingered in my mind like smoke. About an hour later, I went inside to grab another drink. The kitchen was empty until I heard quiet voices coming from the hallway. I turned and froze. There, half shielded by the corner, were Adrian and Lila. She wasn't supposed to be there. But there she was, standing inches away from him, talking low, her body language all wrong, too familiar, too close. And then, she reached up and touched his chest lightly, laughing. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was intimate, the kind of touch that doesn't belong to family, the kind of laugh that's meant for someone you want. They didn't see me. I backed away before I could process what I was seeing. A minute later, I walked back in and acted normal. Adrian followed shortly after, pretending nothing happened. And Lila? She was gone by the time I stepped outside again. So she has just dropped by to say hi to my cousin on his birthday without telling me. That night, Lila didn't mention it. I didn't ask. I couldn't even look at her properly, because now everything felt infected. Her scent on the pillow, the sound of her voice, the way she used to say my name. I replayed what I saw, over and over, trying to make it innocent. Maybe she was just being friendly. Maybe she just dropped by to surprise Adrian. Maybe they were talking about a gift idea. Maybe I was just being jealous, but it didn't feel like jealousy. It felt like confirmation. Still, I needed proof, because, deep down, I wasn't ready to detonate everything on a maybe, so I did what any man in denial would do. I waited. If this story hits you, show some love with a simple like. It means the world to me. After the barbecue, something inside me flipped. I stopped making excuses. I stopped second-guessing myself. I stopped defending people who wouldn't even defend me if the roles were reversed. I didn't confront Lila, not yet. I wanted the truth. I wanted the kind of truth that couldn't be talked around or explained away. So, I became quiet, watchful, and strategic. I started paying attention like never before. When Lila left the house for her drives, I started writing down times and dates, not in my phone, on paper. I made notes of how long she was gone, what excuse she gave. The patterns were too clean. Every Tuesday and Thursday she left around 6:45 p.m. and came back after 9. Same perfume, same energy, same fake smile when she walked through the door. Traffic was horrible, she'd say, or I just needed to clear my head. Clear her head with whose hands exactly? Adrian, my own cousin, had been posting real estate photos on his social media. He was always showing houses, giving tours, doing walkthrough videos, and I noticed something sickening. On almost every day, Lila left for her drives. Adrian wasn't posting. No listings, no walkthroughs, just silence. Coincidence? Maybe once, but 5 times. That's a pattern. And then came the night that sealed everything. It was April 2nd, a Thursday. Lila said she was meeting her old college friend Megan for coffee. She even named the cafe Maple and Sage, a spot downtown. I waited 10 minutes after she left, then followed her. My heart was beating out of my chest, hands trembling. The kind of fear that comes when you already know you're about to get your soul cracked open. She didn't go downtown. She didn't go anywhere near Maple and Sage. She drove straight to the Iron Lantern, a high-end pub near the River Arts District. Upscale, mood lighting. The kind of place you go to be seen if you're proud of who you're with, or to hide in plain sight when you think no one's watching. I parked across the street, waited, and then, through the amber-lit window, I saw Lila sitting at a corner table, wearing that red dress I'd bought her 2 Christmases ago, and across from her, Adrian, laughing, smiling, and leaning in, his hand on hers. They didn't look nervous. They didn't look guilty. They looked like a couple. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mistake they regretted. This was a relationship. Right there, I pulled out my phone and took the photo. One single picture. Lila, Adrian, candlelight, holding hands like they were living in some twisted romantic drama. I didn't go in. Not yet. I wanted the full story. So I started digging deeper. That weekend, I checked our shared tablet. Lila had synced her email months ago. She must have forgotten. There were emails, hotel reservations, deleted confirmation messages, Google Maps searches. One address popped up more than once, a short-term rental up in Black Mountain. They'd stayed there together twice, for entire weekends. While I was working overtime, while I was building our future, they were burning it down behind my back. That was the final nail in the coffin. Now I had everything I needed: proof, dates, photos, and a fire in my chest that wouldn't go out until the truth comes out. Next stop? Confrontation. Not behind closed doors. No, this betrayal needed an audience, and I already had the perfect place in mind. April 5th, Saturday night. I didn't sleep for 2 days after seeing them together. My stomach was in knots. I'd stare at the ceiling until 3 a.m., thinking about every laugh they shared, every time she told me she was too tired, every family. BBQ Adrian stood next to me like a brother. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was physical. I felt hollow. But that hollow feeling, it turned into something sharper. I wanted the mask to come off. Not just for me, for everyone. So I waited. I tracked them again, and just like clockwork, they returned to the Iron Lantern. Same table, same candlelight, same red dress. I didn't bring friends. I didn't tell anyone. I just walked in, with the photo on my phone, the emails printed in my coat pocket, and a storm behind my eyes. The place was packed, live music in the corner, laughter, clinking glasses, and there they were. Lila and Adrian are sitting like newlyweds on a honeymoon, sharing dessert, her hand on his arm, eyes locked. They didn't even notice me walking in. Sorry to interrupt. Am I crashing date night? Lila's face went pale like she'd seen a ghost. Adrian looked like someone had yanked the floor out from under him. Jordan, what are you doing here? Oh, just grabbing a drink. Thought I'd join my wife and my cousin. You know, family night. The silence at the table was deafening. People nearby were starting to look over. Lila stammered. I was going to tell you. Tell me. What? I said. That the two of you have been messing around behind my back for months? Booking rentals up in Black Mountain? Or that every girls' night was actually your hand in his lap? Her mouth opened, but nothing came out, so I pulled out my phone. Showed her the photo. Remember this moment? Candlelight? Romance? It's cute, really. Adrian tried to stand up. Jordan, calm down. Let's talk outside. You had your chance to talk, I growled. You don't get to be the secret boyfriend and the peacekeeper. You were my brother, man. The whole restaurant was watching now. Eyes wide, phones out. Lila stood up, her voice trembling. I didn't mean for it to happen. Don't insult me, I cut in. You meant every kiss, every text, every lie. I looked around the room, at all the strangers watching, and I realized I wasn't embarrassed. I wasn't broken. I was free. Lila looked like she wanted to cry. Adrian looked like he wanted to disappear. And I? I picked up their check, held it in the air. Here's what I'll pay for, since I apparently fund everything else in this relationship. I dropped cash on the table, looked Lila in the eye. Don't come home. I'll have your stuff boxed up by Monday. Then I turned to Adrian. You were family, but now you're just another man who can't keep his hands off someone else's wife. And I walked out, just like that. No yelling, no punches, no chaos, because sometimes calm hurts more than rage. What came next? That's where the real drama started, because what happens after the confrontation is what truly breaks a family. The moment I walked out of the Iron Lantern that night, I expected rage, screaming, maybe even someone chasing after me. But there was silence, and that silence followed me home. I didn't sleep. I just sat on the couch, still in my jacket, staring at the floor. I felt everything: relief, heartbreak, fury, freedom, disbelief. How do you process the fact that two people who meant everything to you, were we laughing behind your back? How do you even explain that? Well, the world did it for me. Sunday morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Someone had recorded the whole scene at the pub and posted it on TikTok. The caption read, "Dude just caught his wife and cousin cheating in public. Realest moment ever." And just like that, our private disaster became public entertainment. The comments were brutal. This man deserves better. You could feel his pain in every word. How do you cheat with a cousin? But not everyone was on my side, because by Monday the real war had started. My aunt, Adrian's mom, called me first. You embarrassed my son in front of the whole city, Jordan. Couldn't you have handled it privately? I wanted to laugh. Privately? Like how they were privately destroying my marriage? But I didn't argue. I just hung up. Next was Lila's mom. She made a mistake, but that doesn't mean you had to shame her in public. I finally snapped. A mistake? You mean crawling into bed with your husband's cousin is a mistake? She dashed off the phone. And then came the group chats, the phone calls, the cousins, the mutual friends. People started choosing sides like it was some reality TV show. Some of them ghosted me entirely, others messaged in secret. I always thought something was off between those two. I'm sorry, man. But guess what? Not one single person, not one came out publicly and condemned what Lila and Adrian did. They all just wanted me to move on. Don't dwell, bro. She's not worth it. Be the bigger man. Funny how when the cheating happens, it's your job to be noble. But the real kicker? It was my dad. A quiet man, never emotional, rarely involved in drama. He called me that Wednesday. "I heard what happened," he said. "Yeah? Look, Jordan, I know you're hurt. Still, Adrian's family. And blood is blood." I sat there stunned. So what am I? Disposable? Just move on because he's family? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. That silence said it all. Lila tried contacting me, texting, calling, sending long apology emails. It just happened. I didn't mean to fall in love with him. Love? That word nearly made me laugh. She called what they did love, like love was sneaking around in hotel rooms and lying to my face every night. I didn't respond, but I read every word, because even after betrayal, your heart still wants to understand. Emotionally, I was a wreck. I stopped eating, I stopped talking to friends, I went to work and came home. That's it. And the worst part? Holidays were coming, Easter, Mother's Day, family BBQ season, and suddenly the thought of showing up to any of them made me sick. How do you walk into a room knowing your own blood slept with your wife? How do you sit at a dinner table where people smile and pretend nothing happened? You don't. So I didn't. I started isolating myself, because even when you're the victim, people treat you like you're the problem. But isolation has a strange power. It sharpens you. And that's where I started planning something I never thought I'd do. Not revenge, not drama, something worse. A twist, because if they thought they could walk away clean from this, they had no idea what I was about to do next. It had been almost 6 weeks since the night at the Iron Lantern. I'd cut off all contact with Lila. No calls, no messages. Adrian tried once, sent me a long email about being in love and not meaning to hurt anyone. I didn't reply. During those 6 weeks, I wasn't just licking my wounds, I was planning, because pain is a strange teacher. It taught me that confrontation gets the crowd, but strategy? That gets the win. Let me tell you something most people didn't know. I wasn't just an IT consultant like everyone thought. I was the majority silent partner in a local tech firm. I had helped build their back-end systems from the ground up and received equity in return. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't public, but it was lucrative. And guess who I had recommended for a freelance marketing contract there 6 months earlier? Adrian. He needed side income. I had vouched for him, helped him land the gig, and now he was on payroll. Or at least, he had been. Because the week after the confrontation, I met with the company's CFO and board, showed them screenshots of Adrian's social media, the viral pub video, and his connection to the scandal. This company was all about discretion, family values, public trust. This kind of drama could stain the brand, I told them. You know how quick the internet moves. Within 2 days, they terminated his contract. Quietly. No explanation. Adrian had no idea why, but that was just the appetizer. Because remember that cozy rental they snuck off to in Black Mountain? Well, I bought it. Not the whole building, just that unit. It was part of a small 3-condo investment project I'd been eyeing for a while. And when the opportunity came up, I paid in cash. Adrian and Lila had booked that rental twice under fake names. But I had their emails, their photos, and timestamps from my earlier investigation. So you know what I did? I printed out high-quality screenshots, her hand in his, their car outside, date stamps, and hung them in that condo unit, right above the bed, in a frame. Title: For future guests, a reminder that secrets always come out. And then, I listed the unit on Airbnb. It was booked for the summer in less than 2 weeks. They'll never walk into that place again. But someone will. Thousands of people will. And that photo will outlive every lie they ever told. But here's the part that made me smile. The last blow? It didn't come from me. It came from the same internet they tried to hide from. That video of our confrontation? It didn't just go viral. A local podcast picked it up, called The Betrayal Breakdown. They interviewed me anonymously, voice disguised, no names, just the facts. The episode blew up. 1 million plays in 3 days. And guess who got recognized? Lila, Turns out people pieced it together from the red dress, her job at the local PR, and her very public Instagram. The firm had branded itself on family-forward marketing. Within a week, she was let go. Officially, PR restructuring. Unofficially, they didn't want the scandal. Now, here's the real twist. I never wanted to hurt them, but I wanted to reclaim myself, and maybe show them that you can't destroy someone who learns to build during the fire. Lila thought I'd fall apart. Adrian thought he'd get the girl and keep the job. Everyone thought I'd fade into the background. But instead, I built a new version of myself from the ashes of their betrayal. And just when they thought it was over, one last surprise was still on the horizon, because I had found something in Lila's emails. Something none of them knew I knew. And that secret would change everything. I had moved out of our shared apartment 3 weeks after the confrontation. Lila begged me to meet. Just talk. Just once. But I stayed silent. I had nothing left to say, or so I thought. See, there was one thing I couldn't let go of. Something in the timeline didn't sit right. Their affair had supposedly started 6 months ago, but I remembered something weird. From a year earlier, last spring, Lila had gotten sick. She was moody, tired all the time. She said it was stress, her job. She even mentioned a pregnancy scare, but said it was nothing. She brushed it off so quickly, I barely registered it. But now, with everything I knew, it started gnawing at me. So I did something I had avoided this entire time. I logged into our old shared iCloud account. The one she forgot I still had access to. And in the deleted files folder, I found a draft email, not sent, not forwarded, just sitting there. The subject line? To Adrian, about the baby. My heart dropped. The email was short, messy, emotional. I'm scared. I don't know if it's yours or Jordan's. I feel disgusting. I don't even know if I want to keep it. Please don't tell anyone. Please. I read it 5 times, hands shaking. She never sent it. She probably forgot she even wrote it. But it was there. Proof. Their affair didn't start 6 months ago. It had started a year ago, while I was still planning our anniversary trip to Asheville, while she was still calling me her everything. And the pregnancy, she lied to both of us. I don't know if she got rid of it or miscarried. All I know is she was carrying a secret that could have rewritten everything. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I did the one thing that terrified her most. I mailed it to her job before she got fired, and I sent a second copy to Adrian's parents, with no note, just the date, just the truth. Let them draw their own conclusions. Let the doubt eat them from the inside. Let the happily ever after they imagined now be haunted by a question they'll never fully answer. Was that child mine or his? That was the final move. No closure, no reconciliation, just silence, truth, and an unraveling they'd never control. Today, I'm not bitter, I'm building. I left Franklin, moved to Boulder, Colorado, took the equity from my business, opened a small consulting firm. My own name on the door. I started hiking again, cooking, living, and every now and then, someone recognizes me from that viral pub video. They ask if it was real. I smile. Every word. Because here's the truth. You can survive betrayal. You can rebuild after heartbreak. But the one thing you must never do, let them turn you cold. Let them turn you into them. So I didn't. I stayed quiet. But I stayed sharp. Have you ever uncovered a secret after the breakup that changed everything? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about the twists no one saw coming. And if this story gave you chills, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to know they're not alone.